Henry Kissinger, the primary architect of the modern geopolitical order, once summarized the blueprint for global dominance in a single chilling sentence. Control oil and you control nations. Control food and you control the people. Control money and you control the world. For over 50 years, the elite have followed this script to the letter. But as we move deeper into 2026, the control is slipping, and the architects themselves are sounding the alarm. Jamie Dimon, the chief executive officer of JPMorgan Chase, recently issued a stark warning to his shareholders. He stated that the geopolitical risks we are facing right now could eclipse anything since World War II. In a recent annual address, Dimon went even further, making a statement that the mainstream media has worked tirelessly to bury. He said quite simply, World War III has already begun. Most people are waiting for a nuclear flash or a sudden declaration of war on the evening news. They expect a chaotic explosion of violence. But they are looking in the wrong direction. World War III did not start with a bomb. It started with a protocol. It began with the quiet drying of an ancient riverbed and the silent expiration of a 50-year-old contract in a wood-paneled room in Riyadh. You are currently witnessing a controlled demolition of the old world order. While the public is kept distracted by the theater of politics, the internal machinery of history has been unlocked. The gears of prophecy, high finance, and global conflict are no longer turning in secret. They are grinding together in broad daylight. Welcome to the briefing they hoped you would never receive. In the heart of the Fertile Crescent, a countdown that has been running for 2,000 years has finally reached zero. The Euphrates River, the ancient boundary between the West and the rising powers of the East, is vanishing. By early 2026, water levels in Iraq have plummeted to their lowest points in recorded history, with reserves at just 8% of their capacity. While official reports point to severe drought and upstream damming, the surface-level explanation is hiding a much more unsettling reality. As the water recedes, it is unsealing secrets that were never intended to be rediscovered. In the northern Duhok province, the receding banks of the Al-Osul Dam have revealed what archaeologists are calling a city of the dead. Over 40 ancient tombs, carved directly into the rocky cliffs, have emerged from the depths for the first time in centuries. But it is the reports coming from the Anbar province that have set independent researchers on edge. There, the ruins of an ancient city known as Telbis have surfaced. Among the structures being documented are hand-carved stone chambers with iron rings still embedded in the rock, the remains of a prison system dating back over 4,000 years. Local witnesses and independent journalists have reported a low, guttural vibration echoing from these chambers as they are exposed to the air. It is a sound mainstream science dismisses as geological shifting, but locals describe it as something far more sentient. For those who understand the Sentient protocol, this is not a natural disaster. It is a tactical maneuver. The Book of Revelation, chapter 16, verse 12 states, "The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east." In the language of ancient prophecy, this is the final clearing of the battlefield. The drying river is not a climate crisis. It is the removal of the last physical barrier preventing a massive military alignment. It is the first stage of a protocol designed to bypass geography and move the conflict into its next phase. But those kings are not just waiting for the river to dry. They are waiting for the system that ruled the world for 50 years to finish its scheduled collapse. The riverbed is not the only thing being stripped bare. The very foundation of Western power is being dismantled in real time. It began with a secret contract signed in 1974, a contract that has just reached its expiration date. While the world watches the physical borders of the Middle East, a more profound shift has occurred in the digital architecture of global power. To understand the coming conflict, you must understand the weapon that has underpinned Western dominance since 1974, the petrodollar. For 50 years, a strategic, informal pact between the United States and the House of Saud served as the bedrock of global influence. Saudi Arabia agreed to price its vast oil exports exclusively in United States dollars, ensuring that every nation on Earth had to maintain massive reserves of American currency just to keep their lights on. In exchange, the United States provided a security umbrella that guaranteed the survival of the Saudi monarchy. But on June 9, 2024, the clock ran out. The 50-year anniversary of the 1974 Joint Commission on Economic Cooperation arrived, and for the first time in 2 generations, Saudi Arabia chose a different path. The kingdom did not just walk away. They stepped into a pre-built alternative. Saudi Arabia has officially joined Project Mbridge, a multi-central bank digital currency platform designed to facilitate direct, peer-to-peer cross-border payments. By early 2025, this platform reached its minimum viable product stage, allowing for the digital oil trade. For the first time, energy is being settled in the digital yuan and other currencies, moving through a system that completely bypasses the United States banking infrastructure. This is not just a shift in trade policy, it is an economic declaration of war. By decoupling energy from the dollar, the rising powers have effectively stripped the United States of its infinite wallet, the ability to print wealth to fund global military operations. History is clear. When an empire loses its ability to finance its reach, it eventually feels the pressure to draw its sword. But this is not merely a struggle between nations for currency dominance. The dismantling of the dollar is the controlled burn necessary to migrate the human population into a new, more totalizing system. As the old financial guardrails are removed, the decisions that once belonged to central bankers are being handed over to an intelligence that operates beyond human oversight. While the public eye is fixed on physical borders and shifting currencies, a more subtle transformation is taking place within the very machinery of modern governance. The institutions we once relied on for stability are being quietly retrofitted with a new kind of architecture, one that operates beyond the reach of the voter or the legislator. In early 2026, the battle for the final frontier of human financial control reached the highest court in the land. The case of Trump versus Cook represents more than just a personnel dispute. It is a direct assault on the 112-year independence of the Federal Reserve. The conflict began in August 2025, when the administration moved to fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. The official justification cited alleged mortgage fraud from years prior. Historically, Federal Reserve governors have been shielded from political interference, serving staggered 14-year terms, precisely so they do not have to answer to the president. By challenging this protection in the Supreme Court in January 2026, the administration is testing a theory of the unitary executive, the idea that the president possesses total authority over every branch of the administrative state. But if the court rules that a president can fire a central banker at will, the firewall between politics and the printing press will have officially collapsed. However, the legal drama in Washington is only half of the story. While the government fights for the right to steer the Federal Reserve, the actual steering is being handed over to an intelligence that does not hold a passport. In February 2026, a landmark partnership was announced between BlackRock and Deutsche Bank. The agreement integrates BlackRock's Aladdin artificial intelligence directly into House FX, one of the world's most significant foreign exchange platforms. Aladdin is no longer just a tool for investment. It has become the literal plumbing of the global financial system. By embedding this artificial intelligence into the settlement cycles of major banks, the system is moving toward a state of automated execution. In this environment, The person sitting in the White House or the chair of the Federal Reserve becomes secondary to the algorithm. We are entering the era of the Sentient protocol, where market fluctuations are managed and individuals can be debanked with the speed and cold precision of a software update. But the protocol's reach extends far beyond your bank account. To achieve total synchronization, the system must secure control over the most fundamental asset of all, the biological code of life itself. The path from the digital currency markets leads directly to the very seeds in the ground. In the architecture of the new global system, a seed is no longer just a vessel for life. It has become a piece of proprietary software. To truly control the new Babylon, the protocol must extend its reach beyond your bank account and into the very soil beneath your feet. This transformation of life into intellectual property was solidified by the 2013 Supreme Court ruling in Bowman versus Monsanto. The court ruled unanimously that a farmer does not have the right to save and replant seeds that contain patented genetic traits. This decision effectively ended a 10,000-year tradition of seed saving, turning the farmer into a permanent subscriber to a corporate entity. By 2026, this legal lock has evolved into a biological one. We are seeing the quiet integration of genetic use restriction technology, commonly known as Terminator technology. These are genetically modified crops designed to be sterile at harvest. They produce a viable yield of food, but the seeds they contain are biologically programmed to self-destruct if replanted. As of early 2026, while official commercialization remains a subject of intense global debate, the patents for these suicide seeds are held by a handful of companies, including Bayer, Corteva, Syngenta, and BASF, who now control over 56% of the global commercial seed market. Now, look at the insurance policy for this system. Deep within the Arctic permafrost of the Norwegian island of Spitsbergen lies the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. As of February 2026, the vault has reached a milestone, securing over 1.38 million distinct seed samples. While it is marketed as a doomsday vault to protect humanity's future, the funding tells a more specific story. The vault's operations are supported by DASN, the Crop Trust, which receives massive grants from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the very biotech giants that own the patents on modern crops. The vault operates under a black box arrangement. The depositors own the seeds, and only they can access them. In a world of escalating global conflict, the elite have secured the original source code of the world's biodiversity in a remote, military-grade facility, while the rest of the planet is transitioned to a sterile, patented food supply that requires a constant connection to the corporate grid. As the biological and financial layers of the protocol lock into place, the focus shifts to the final geopolitical flashpoint. In the most contested piece of land on Earth, a ritual is being prepared that serves as the ultimate prophetic spark, the moment where ancient text meets modern military hardware. While the media cycle focuses on the maneuvers of the Sentient protocol and the collapse of the dollar, the final piece of the sequence is being prepared in the most contested landscape on Earth, Jerusalem. To the casual observer, it looks like religious fervor. To those tracking the timeline, it is the ultimate geopolitical powder keg. According to the Book of Numbers, chapter 19, the restoration of the Third Temple requires a specific type of ritual purity, one that can only be achieved through the ashes of a perfect red heifer. This animal must be without blemish, have never been yoked for work, and be entirely red down to the last hair. For 2,000 years, this requirement was considered an impossible hurdle. That changed in September 2022, when 5 red heifers, sourced from a ranch in Texas, were flown to Israel under the designation of pets to bypass livestock restrictions. By 2025, these animals reached the sacrificial age of 3 years. On July 1st, 2025, reports began to circulate, supported by eyewitness footage, that a practice run of this ancient ceremony was carried out in Samaria. While the Temple Institute maintains a high level of secrecy, independent observers documented the slaughter and burning of one of these heifers in a ritual meant to test the purification process. Although official rabbinical confirmation remains debated, the intent is undeniable. The infrastructure for the Third Temple, including the ritual vessels and the garments for the priesthood, has already been completed. The strategic significance of this ritual cannot be overstated. The site required for the Third Temple is currently occupied by the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. To move forward with the prophetic spark is to invite a conflict that would draw every major power in the world into the Middle East. It is the moment where thousands of years of text meet modern military hardware. Everything we have uncovered, from the drying of the Euphrates to the algorithmic takeover of our currency and the biological lockdown of our food, converges here. We are not watching a series of random events. We are watching the activation of a synchronized system. The most important part of this briefing is not what we found. It is what you do with it. We have shown you the tactical clearing of the Euphrates, the dismantling of the dollar, and the rise of an intelligence that operates beyond our oversight. We want to hear from you. Do you believe the July sacrifice and the physical changes to the Euphrates are literal fulfillments of ancient warnings? Or are they man-made tactical moves designed to trigger a specific geopolitical outcome? And as we move through 2026, what are you doing to keep your own life and capital outside of the Sentient protocol? If you are ready to stop watching the theater and start decoding the reset, subscribe to Deep Vault Mysteries and turn on all notifications. This is more than just a channel. It is an investigation into the truths they are trying to redact in real time. Share this briefing with one person you think is ready to wake up. The protocol is active. The ledger is watching. Stay awake.